There is a little more to come, but that's all practical matters about how to complete bits of the course. So I wanted to offer you a conclusion already at this point for Lecture 1. We've seen that moral psychology, for the purposes of this course, is the study of the psychological aspects of ethical abilities. I've suggested that studying moral psychology matters for understanding human sociality, that it may matter for understanding and even intervening in political conflicts, including conflict over climate change, and that it could matter for deciding on the kind of arguments that we should use to accept or reject ethical principles and theories, such as consequentialism. Certainly there are plenty of philosophers who think that moral psychology is relevant in the case of ethics. But of course, I hope you've also taken the time to let us all know in the Teams channel why you're taking the course as well. There are surely many more reasons why moral psychology matters. Now, our initial focus in part 1 of this course, which is about the psychological processes and states that underpin our ethical abilities, is on moral intuitions. We'll be focusing on moral intuitions next week as well, and indeed throughout the whole course you'll see that they play quite a significant role. We have, for a start, 2 questions. The first question is, do emotions influence moral intuitions? And the second question is, closely related, what do humans compute that enables them in their unreflective judgments to track moral attributes such as wrongness? Now, I've suggested that one potential answer to both questions is provided by a hypothesis that Sinnott Armstrong and colleagues call the effect heuristic, according to which if thinking or encountering an action makes you feel bad, then judge that that act is wrong. You can see that if people are following the effect heuristic, then they're computing how something makes them feel in order to track an ethical attribute, and that the emotion, the feeling bad, is going to play quite a big role in the moral intuition. It will be what drives the moral intuition. But we shouldn't accept a hypothesis just because it's been offered. What we really need is some kind of evidence for the hypothesis. Now that's okay in this one, because this hypothesis, unusually for a view suggested by philosophers, generates a readily testable prediction, and indeed a prediction which, as we have seen, has been tested, and those tests have yielded some evidence which, roughly speaking, favours the hypothesis, even if perhaps it doesn't fully confirm the prediction yet. So that was already quite a lot for week 1, but things are only going to get busier as we go through the course. So what are our next steps? Well, a small thing we need is to see whether there's further evidence that might support or refute the hypothesis about the effect heuristic. In addition to that, I think we should take a look at the wider theoretical landscape. What kind of theoretical arguments might be given for the effect heuristic? And we should step back. What are the views of those who oppose? What are the views of those who think, for example, that emotion plays no significant role in influencing moral intuitions? What view of moral intuitions do those researchers have? By pursuing these and other questions, I hope that what we're going to do is to develop a reasonable understanding of controversies about the basis for moral intuitions, and therefore come closer to understanding psychological aspects of our ethical abilities. See you next week.